Good afternoon. It's shortly before 3 o'clock in Dallas. It's before 4 o'clock on the East Coast. I want to talk very shortly to the future leadership of America, to the younger people. I say younger because what I'm about to say does take a certain kind of understanding. You have to have a certain way to be able to approach it. Right now, some very serious things are going on. I understand that for a long time there's been this policy where one of the things that young people are taught is that you're going to have to pay for what the older generation did. In some ways, this is not a bad thing. We're supposed to have a means in our society to provide for our elders at the end of their lives as a sign of respect and as a sign of the pride we have in who we are. But it is under no circumstances appropriate to allow for generations of people to engage in illegal activities and to then try to make younger generations of people either cover up for them or engage in things that are contrary to their best interest. I'm very concerned right now, and I'm going to be honest with you. I'm legally old enough to run for president. I'm legally old enough to be president. But at this point in my life, functionally, literally speaking, I don't understand how this society, as it is now, is going to be able to provide for me when I'm an elder. Not just because we haven't adequately provided for the elders we have now, but because there was a misrepresentation and miscalculation of what was anticipated as being the responsibilities for providing for those matters. It's important that what I do now sets in motion and allows for the establishment of a foundation that you can step into, that you can take on and take over, and that you can show your proficiency, your mastery, all of the finer qualities that you have that are what we are about. And this is a critical time in that regard. Civil rights and the history of civil rights in this country is one of our hallmarks. It's one of the things that we try to give to other people as an example of who we are. It goes all the way back to the beginning. And it is a very disingenuous thing to misrepresent our flaws and our failings. I have said before, and it may be controversial, that we never should have accepted the Three-Fifths Compromise. And to this day, we are still in a process of trying to reconcile that. I'm very disturbed to know that there is still, at this time, a form of three-fifths compromise that is a major, major policy in regards to what we consider to be or have participated in as official or legitimate finance, both domestically and internationally. Hopefully, especially if you are at the age of high school or older, you've been provided with teachers and instruction in educational environments that have provided you already with an educational context for understanding what I just said. But I'm concerned that we have not. And that there are other things that you were supposed to focus on according to their terms that very shortly are going to be radically transformed. These transformations may be very disturbing, and you have a right to be angry. But I'm just going to ask you to please be mindful. You also have a right to be protected. If you're under 25 years old, you are not legally old enough to take responsibility in a constitutional government. As much as your leadership is important, please understand that, no matter what anyone says or does. And this is a very big difference. If you are under 35, you are not legally old enough to be a senator or to be president of the United States. And this makes a very big difference. If you are under 62, you are not legally eligible to collect Social Security as a senior or a retiree. This makes a very big difference. And so when we're discussing these matters related to boundaries or parameters, these are some things that have already been set up legally for a reason as regarding indications of an understanding that chronological age and the experience that comes with chronological age has a very significant consideration. It's not just whether or not you're old enough to drive a car or drink alcohol or legally consent to have sex. There are other forms of responsibility that are needed for leadership, and you should be protected during the time frames you have to cultivate and develop your leadership and understanding how to deal with having your rights respected and having your leadership asserted when and if you don't legally qualify to be in that leadership position yourself. Other considerations around citizenship, around contextualization, around what's considered to be appropriate based on background or inheritance, those things are in flux right now, and they should be. And the critiques and the understanding of younger generations and the way that they see and understand and experience it is vital. And this is why I'm letting you know that I am concerned that many of you have been exposed to processes you had no place being exposed to. This is no fault of your own. Things were done by people of my generation, some of which I was unwittingly cooperated with, that allowed for a paradigm to be set up, that have done things with your body and have done things with your environment that has exposed you, including bodily, to things that were unacceptable. I do not want to give into a process where punitive measures are engaged against young people because of exhibitions of behavior or attempts at trying to politicize things that by reasonable terms regarding ethos, regarding morality, regarding law, or even just sustainability are unconscionable. When you're in a position to actually be able to take responsibility for your life, the various ages that we have to take responsibility, there are certain things that are supposed to inform our flight or fight instincts more than just how stimulated we are by some sort of recreational activity or intoxicant or how much money we can make from it. And I am concerned that we have not done a very good job at providing a foundation for understanding those things. So I'm letting you know I don't have all the answers. And I've been cut off from actually being able to be engaged by directly young leadership for a considerable amount of time. But I'm letting you know there are things going on right now. We should be providing you with a foundation for taking care of yourself and being able to develop and create things based on your unique leadership capabilities that are absolutely necessary and would be very delightful as well as incredibly challenging. But I honestly understand it right now. There are some things that are going to happen. You shouldn't be made to pay for them. It is not your financial responsibility to deal with what we're dealing with right now. Understand that. Let me say this again. It is not your responsibility to deal with what we have to deal with right now as a country. I support you if you decide to protest in a manner that allows for the development of your networks regarding your political organizing capabilities and moving forward on them, including exercising all of your constitutional rights. But also understand there are certain things you are not legally able to do. So please make your decisions wisely, because we need to account very, very quickly. If you're in a position and you decide you're going to try to take on things you cannot actually sustain, let me tell you, as somebody that did that herself, there are consequences. You may be able to follow through, and I would give you the benefit of the doubt that you may be able to. But again, there are consequences, and I'm letting you know just this one time. You aren't responsible for this. If you were under 25, you are not responsible for this. Yet. It's 3:00 p.m. Have a good day.